Blue Jays faithful, lean in for a moment, because this is one of those crossroads stories, the kind that defines eras and separates nearly teams from champions. Picture the off-season as a dimly lit room, the air heavy with expectation, the clock on the wall ticking just loud enough to get under your skin. We have been here before, haven't we? Standing on the edge of possibility, staring into another winter of almost and what-ifs, asking ourselves whether this front office is finally ready to make a move that doesn't whisper ambition, but shouts it from the rooftops. Welcome back to the Blue Jays Report, and buckle up, because this one cuts close to the bone. Let's be honest, the Kyle Tucker news didn't just disappoint. It wounded. Many of us had already imagined it, penciled him neatly into our dream lineups, visualized the swing, the swagger, the statement it would have made to the rest of the league. Then, in a blink, Hollywood swooped in. The Dodgers rolled out a colossal 4-year, $240 million deal. And just like that, the door slammed shut. Another elite talent off the board. Another reminder that in Major League Baseball, hesitation is punished and decisiveness is rewarded. It wasn't just losing Tucker. It was losing the feeling that this time might be different, because the Tucker pursuit felt real. It felt like momentum, like the Blue Jays were finally ready to open a vault for a generational star and stop circling the runway without ever landing the plane. Instead, we are left with that familiar ache, that hollow silence after the music stops, and the question grows louder. If not him, then who? If not now, then when? And that, friends, is where a familiar name drifts back into focus like an old flame you never quite forgot. Cody Bellinger. Say it slowly. There's weight to it. History. Promise. And, if we're being truthful, risk. Insiders have begun whispering again, with Shirts Davity and others suggesting Bellinger could be the pivot point the left-handed bat the Blue Jays have flirted with for what feels like an eternity. Flirted. That's the word. A glance here, a rumor there, never quite committing. But this off-season feels different. It has to be different. You don't win championships by window shopping. On paper, the logic is seductive. A former MVP, a left-handed hitter who could slide seamlessly into heart of the order and finally give Vladimir Guerrero Jr. protection he deserves. Imagine it for a moment. Guerrero stepping into the box, knowing there's danger lurking right behind him. Imagine opposing pitchers sweating through their sleeves, forced to choose which star they'd rather challenge. That's not just lineup balance. That's psychological warfare. And with the looming specter of next offseason, where names like George Springer and Dalton Varsho could come off the books, nearly $94 million potentially freed, the timing feels almost poetic. But poetry doesn't pay luxury tax, does it? Last season, the Blue Jays shelled out $13.6 million in penalties on a payroll north of $286 million. This is not a small market club scraping pennies together. This is an organization with resources, expectations, and a fan base that is tired of hearing about patience. Add in the collective bargaining agreement expiring in December 2026, and suddenly every long-term commitment feels heavier, more consequential. Every signature is a statement about the future. So the question hangs in the air like a breaking ball that hasn't quite decided where it's going to land. Is Cody Bellinger the answer, or just another name that fuels debate radio and comment sections before quietly slipping away? Before you answer that, remember to tap that like button and subscribe to the Blue Jays Report, because these conversations are far from over. Now let's peel back the layers, because Bellinger is not a simple story. He's a novel with plot twists. Yes, the 2025 season with the Yankees was a resurgence that turned heads. A .272 average, 29 home runs, 98 runs batted in. Numbers that demand respect. Numbers that whisper of redemption. But baseball, like life, has a long memory. We all remember 2019, the MVP year, when Bellinger looked like the future of the sport personified. And we also remember what followed, the injuries, the mechanical struggles, the confidence that seemed to ebb away as he bounced from the Dodgers to the Cubs, and then to New York. This is where the gamble lies. Because the Bellinger market is not just about talent. It's about belief. Belief that the bounce back is real. Belief that the body will hold up. Belief that the swing won't disappear again into the shadows. Reports suggest he's looking for security, a final long-term deal, with 7 years being the magic number. The Yankees, according to John Heyman, offered 5 years and $155 million, a serious offer, a statement in itself. But Bellinger wants more, and in that gap between 5 and 7 years, entire franchises can rise or fall. If the Blue Jays step into this, they aren't strolling into a quiet negotiation. They're walking into an auction house. The Dodgers, the Giants, the Mets, all circling, all with their own visions and checkbooks. A 7-year deal north of $30 million per year would instantly reshape Toronto's payroll, second only to a potential Vladimir Guerrero Jr. extension. This isn't just adding a bat. This is carving the financial identity of the franchise for the next decade. Manager John Schneider didn't mince words at the winter meetings. A bat would be nice, he said. Probably a bat of some sort. Understated, perhaps, but the message was clear. Pitching has been addressed, and that's vital, but offense wins headlines and championships. We saw flashes last season, moments when this lineup looked unstoppable, and stretches where it felt like it was swinging underwater. The addition of Kazuma Komodo adds depth, intrigue, but he's not the thunderclap Schneider was hinting at. Bellinger could be that thunderclap. Slotted before or after Guerrero, he could change the entire rhythm of the offense, take pressure off the young stars, and force opponents to pitch honestly. But the risk looms. What if the 2025 season was the outlier? What if regression is waiting just around the corner? These are the questions that keep executives awake at night, staring at spreadsheets like they're crystal balls. And yet, doing nothing carries its own risk. Losing out on Kyle Tucker was a gut punch, a reminder that the free agent market doesn't wait for second thoughts. With Bellinger now center stage, the Blue Jays are standing at a fork in the road. One path leads to boldness, to an all-in declaration that this window is now. The other leads to caution, to exploring alternatives, perhaps revisiting long-term conversations with Bo Bichette, perhaps spreading the money thinner and hoping chemistry does the rest. If Toronto lands Bellinger, it sends a message that will echo across the league. It says this team is done dabbling, done flirting. It says the World Series is not a dream, but a demand. It solidifies the outfield, balances the lineup, and feeds a hunger of a fan base desperate for a defining moment. If they don't, if Bellinger signs elsewhere, the frustration won't just simmer, it will boil. The what-ifs will multiply, and the pressure on the current core will become suffocating. This isn't just about one player. It's about identity, about whether the Blue Jays are content to be competitive or determined to be champions. We've tasted hope. We've swallowed heartbreak. And now we stand on the edge of the next chapter, waiting to see if the front office turns a page or leaves it dog-eared and unfinished. So, Blue Jays Nation, the floor is yours. Is Cody Bellinger the missing piece, the final brushstroke on a championship canvas? Or is this a gamble too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this with every fan who's lived through the same roller coaster. And make sure you're subscribed to the Blue Jays Report for everything that comes next. Because one way or another, the future of this team is about to be written. And you'll want a front row seat when the ink hits the page.